Hello, and welcome back to the Baroque Blueprint Training Series. In this video, we're just going to be taking a closer look at the Theme Settings tab here in the back end. This tab is going to control the global styling of your website, things like your colors, logos, and contact information. And I kind of want to just go ahead and dive into all of these together now. First up is going to be our colors. This is where we're going to set that primary and secondary color for the website. And what I mean by that is, if I just run over to the front end of the website, we can see we have this nice navy blue set in this field. If I scroll down, we can see these kind of navy blue bubbles popping up, and that's where all of those primary colors will come in at. Our buttons will actually be controlled separately in our Buttons tab, which we'll get here in just a second. But just know that this is our primary color, and this is our secondary color. And if we need to change these, I would just click Select Color, and then I can choose out of this color picker here, or alternatively, if you have a hex code for your brand, we can input that hex code here and click Update to push those changes live. Up next is going to be our Logos field, or our Logos tab. This is going to control the header and the footer logo across the site. If we ever needed to update one of these logos, I would just click X and then click Add Image to either upload it from my computer or alternatively upload it from the media library if it's been uploaded previously. Let's say you accidentally delete both these logos and we don't know where to find them again. All's not lost until we hit that update button. I would just click refresh and reload, and we can see those logos pop right back up. But let's say we edited this header logo and clicked update. Site-wide, this logo would now change to whatever file you have just uploaded. And similarly with the footer logo being in this field here. Moving on to our contact information. This again will be displayed across the entirety of the site. So anywhere that we have our address, if it is changed in this field here, it would update. And the same thing can be said about our phone number as well. Anywhere that we need to update our phone number, we would just put that new phone number in this field and click update, and it will then take effect site-wide. Moving on to our buttons, I'm not going to touch on this one a whole lot, as this one's usually set up kind of during the blueprint template build. But what we can do, or what I like to show, is you can edit your buttons, being our button colors, our button settings, whether that be border width, border radius, whatever it may be. You can edit the look and feel of those buttons within our Buttons tab. Similarly with our footer, kind of another set and forget section. This tab controls the footer background and text colors, which are typically set to match your brand during setup. Moving on to our fallback images. These come into play if a post or a team member doesn't have a featured image. Instead of leaving a blank space, the site will automatically use one of these fallback images you set here, keeping everything looking clean and consistent. And what I mean by that is we can see we have a fallback blog image post here. What we can do is I'm just going to run over to the front end and run over to that blog page, and we can see we have two posts, one with a featured image and then one without a featured image. This one's displaying the featured image that's set on the post. This one is displaying that fallback image that we have set since it does not have a featured image attached to the post. The same thing can be said about our team. We can see we have 5 team members here, 4 of which have a headshot, and 1 of which was uploaded without a headshot. So this is actually falling back to that logo that we were setting here, or you can just set an image here as well, and it'll fall back to that image that you have set. Up next is our job search content. If we run over to the front end of the website again, and then run over to our careers page, in our job search or job filters, we'll see find your next career move. Your next job could be 1 search away. This is actually going to control that exact content. So let's say I just wanted to say, find your next career period. If I hit update after editing that field, and I run back over to the front end, we'll see that, and refresh, we'll see that move is now dropped off and it says find your next career. And the same thing can be said about our kind of content blurb underneath that as well. Moving on to our team images, again with another set and forget tab, but all this is going to do is just control the aspect ratio in which our team members display. Right now, we have it 1 to 1.5, which is a portrait. But let's say we wanted to change that to square. all I would need to do is just do that 1-to-1 and then hit update in here. And then those would then reflect as squares on the headshots. I recommend staying out of the slider tab. This is just activating some logic behind all of our sliders on the front end, whether it be our logo carousel or our testimonial carousel. And that's really going to be it for our theme settings tab. And then moving on to our subpage headers. Our subpage headers are going to be pretty straightforward, as I'm going to hop back over to the front end. Anytime we mention subpages, the subpages will be considered all of the pages that are not the home page. And our subpage header is going to be everything above the fold or the image here. And right now we have our title set to white, and we have kind of a dark gray overlay set on the background of these headers. What I can do is I can change the color of these headers. So let's say I want to change the title color to black, and then I want to change the overlay color to, let's say, a nice light white. Now that I've set those and clicked update, if I come over here and refresh, we'll see that that's black, and then now we have a white overlay. And I can just change this to a little bit more of a tangible color so we can see it. And once I hit update and run back over here, we should see that orange. Perfect. We see that orange hue and the orange overlay coming through. And I'm just going to set this back to where it was before moving on to those client logos. And then once I hit update again, we should see it looking nice and pretty again. Perfect. Moving on to our client logos, this is actually going to be the carousel that is displayed on the home page of your new website. So if I run back over to the front end, go back to the home page, we have this nice logo carousel here. What we can do right off the bat, it says show logo carousel. I can actually just exclude this section entirely by selecting no and hitting update. And then once I refresh, we see that section is now fallen off of the home page. But alternatively, we want it to show. I'm just going to hit yes and update. Now we can choose between the logos being white, black, or full color if you want to display the full color logos. We also have this row background color. So if I run over here and click refresh, we should see that logo pop back up. Yep. And then we should see this black logo background here, which we can again change to any color that we need to through this color selector or adding a hex code in. Our actual client logo gallery, this one's pretty self-explanatory. As I'm hovering over these to remove, we can see all we need to do is just click the X and it removes that logo from the carousel. But let's say now we want to add some new logos. I can just click add to gallery and I will just add that one that I have removed. And then I will hit select and we can now see that logo is back in the gallery. And then I will just hit update to push those changes live. Moving on to our CTA settings. When we reference a CTA, the CTA section will actually be this banner on every page of the website right above the footer. And off the bat, we can see we have a subtitle, a title, some content, button text, get in touch, and then a button link that is behind this button, as well as a background image. Through these CTA settings, we can actually set a global CTA, or you can kind of think of it as a fallback CTA, just like those images. On each page, you'll have the opportunity to display a global CTA or create your own. This global CTA also pops up and is displayed on these single post pages and those single jobs pages as well. But you can kind of see the similarity in the format here. Have questions, so subtitle, title, content, button text, button link, image, subtitle, large title, content, button link, button text, and then button link, as well as our image down here. And to edit the link, all of these are just going to be, you can type and backspace these all you need to. But to edit the link, we're just going to click edit, and then we can actually just drop or search for whatever we need to in this search, and we can see that contact page. That's what I want to link to. I'll just click update. And then we can edit the image by clicking X and then clicking select image, just like we edited those logos. And of course, once I'm done with everything, I'd want to hit update. And we're going to be skipping over landing settings, going straight into social media. Social media, this one's going to be pretty straightforward as well. Any of these fields that you have filled out, it will display that icon on the front end. And what I mean by that is, right off the bat, we can see Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, we all have icons for on the front end. So let's say if I didn't have an Instagram, and let's say I had a YouTube, I'm just going to take that out of the Instagram field and add that to the YouTube URL. And once I come back here and click refresh, we should see that Instagram icon fall off, and then that YouTube icon will then populate. Perfect. So now we have our Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, which are the only 3 fields we have filled out in here. And then at the bottom of this list, we're going to have our email URL. Anywhere that email URL is displayed will be updated through this field here. So let's say we have info@company.com. Let's just change this to info@corporation.com. I'll hit update. We can see down here in the footer, and then also it is on the contact page, but once we hit refresh, we'll see that info@corporation.com being displayed now. Our social media styles, these are just going to be kind of touching on those styles that we have set for those icons. Again, just another one of those set and forget sections, but I like to show just in case you ever want to play around with them. And that's really kind of the overview of the theme settings. Most of these are already set up during your site build, but it's helpful to know where everything lives at, just in case you ever need to make updates down the road. But up next, we're going to be taking a look at blog posts and walking through how to create and publish those blog posts.